Colorado's favorite podcast, the Cool Colorado Podcast, is on. My name is Miguel.
I am Chelsea.
What is Chelsi in Spanish?
Same, I would think.
I know what your name would be in Spanish. It's... big show today. Of course, we got the Cool Colorado contest coming up at the end of the show. We always take one of you out there to play along. It's basically just Colorado trivia. Silly little play on the fact that people take their native status too seriously or their transplant status too seriously around here. Also, the Cool Colorado story today, a big one, a loud one, a destructive one. Chelsea, what's it about?
Well, have you ever been so angry before that you took your anger out on the entire town population?
Yes, I have. No, not yet. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we always like to start the show off with something personal. And today, Chelsea, I have to say, you know, I like to exercise daily. It's in my rhythm. It's in my routine. I go to a lake. I run around the lake. Sometimes I walk. Sometimes I jog. It doesn't matter. But I'm always going one direction, and my eyes are pointed in the front of my head, which means if there's people coming up behind me, they should be able to see. These are the reasons we have laws about rear-ending cars. You should be looking forward to where you're going. The other day, I'm not sure. I felt like I was in the Super Bowl for a second because all of a sudden, think about this. You're out jogging. You don't know anything around you. You don't hear anything. And all of a sudden, someone hits you at like 20 miles an hour like a linebacker, like straight into your back. And you see this kid fly off into the bushes. The scooter goes end over end. He was riding a motorized scooter and not paying attention and just smashed into me.
Ouch.
I'm telling you. I was like, what? The kid, I looked over at him and he got up and he was just like, Mr. I actually didn't say Mr. but he said, I think he said, sir. He's like, sir, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And I couldn't get a word out because he was apologizing so much. I was like, good for you, kid. So I gave him what for, as my grandpa would say. I said, hey, dude, pay attention to what you're doing. And he zipped off on his little scooter. The thing I have a problem with is the scooters, the skateboards, the motorized everything, the e-bikes, and the regular bikes on thin sidewalks around a lake or something where there's walkers and runners, people with families, people have dogs on leashes. I mean, what are you trying to do? Kill yourself out there? If I was a biker, I'd be so frustrated.
What, you can't move over for 2 seconds?
Oh, do not get me started on this. I don't need to move over. There's not enough room anyways. The other day, we had like bikers backing up behind us because there was people walking our direction, and there's only enough room. I mean,
well, where do you expect us to go? I mean, I understand you're all tall and lengthy and big yeah. And, you know, but I mean, where else do you expect us to go?
Let's see.
Biker
what's the name of this podcast? The Cool Colorado Podcast. I feel like somewhere in the state there's got to be somewhere to ride a bike. And if I was a biker and I was looking to head on out for the weekend, let's say the family came in and you think, my grandpa had this, and I didn't ride bikes back then, but the family would go to Sisters, Oregon, and they would all bring their bikes, and they would go ride around trails and ride these bikes and stuff. You know what they didn't do? They didn't choose the place where people were running and walking dogs. Like, they didn't go to the city park to do hot laps. I don't understand how that's your choice. And then not only is that a thing, right? But of course, you have everybody from age 12 to 65 who are doing that. But then you have these guys who are like into biking. This isn't you, right? You're not like, you don't wear a Lycra suit and you put your head down like you're in the luge.
Maybe one day I can be that fancy, but until then, no.
So when you go out to look for a place to ride, do you think, is your first thought, I'm going to pick the place where all the people are?
To be fair, I picked the place with the most scenic views. Okay,
well, that is not the place where I go, even though I do like this lake because it's beautiful and you can see the mountains and stuff. But there's so many more places to ride. I just beg of you. I'm going to look into the camera. Where's my camera?
Colorado has the best bike laws. We have the best bike trails. What do you mean?
Yeah, so why are you all in one place where there's a bunch of people walking? We spend so much money making bike paths on the side of the road. You can actually ride your bike on the road and get along with it. Just don't...
They painted it green now, too. It's not just the color of the
road. In some places, and I get it, it's dangerous. This is why I wouldn't ride a bike out, out, because I would think that cars are crazy. Drivers are crazy, and it only takes once.
Yeah.
However, I just wish we lived in a place with some trails and some mountains maybe where you could go and ride bikes that was away from cars and people. Maybe one day, bikers, I beg of you, please. I'm asking nicely. I haven't exacted any revenge yet or anything like that, but we got to stop with this. You've got to take the high road. And by the high road, I mean the mountains. Please get off of the trails that us people are running on because we don't like it. And frankly, I'm starting to collect sticks and keep them in my back pocket. And if you come by, I'm going to throw it in your spokes if this happens again. All right, let's do it. It's time for the cool Colorado story.
Friday, June 4th, 2004. An Air Force veteran settling down in the small town of Granby, Colorado, quickly found himself at his breaking point after losing a decade-long legal battle to a powerful family dynasty who took his land and ran his muffler shop out of business. To enact revenge, the welder fortified a bulldozer into a homemade tank and set out to destroy the small town that took everything from him, resulting in a response from the Army National Guard and an Apache helicopter.
You had to take me on en masse. Well, I'm going to take you on by myself.
Marvin Heemeyer was his name, a new resident to Granby, Colorado. I almost said Oregon because there's a Granby, Oregon as well. Chelsea, let's start before he got to Granby. Do we know anything about him?
Marvin, we know a few things about him. Marvin has had a long history as far as owning businesses, working in the business world, that kind of thing.
How'd he do?
He was a very gifted muffler guy, mechanic guy.
Okay.
However, his gifts did not align with his business persona.
So let's say he's a great mechanic, but he's not a good businessman.
Yes. So he bought a muffler shop in Denver. It went bankrupt within the first year. And then later on, he bought two different types of properties at different times. But both the properties that he bought it from a fraudulent company.
Okay.
So when he bought it, he was doing stuff on the land. Some time had passed. And then he had gotten a letter for both properties saying that they were going to foreclose them. And so all the businesses he's tried to start up has basically gone to crap.
He's taken L's all the way around. Yeah, that's good.
All the way around.
So he decides he's going to take all of his money that he has. He's going to make a fresh start. He's going to head out.
He also is Marvin. He looks a lot like how he sounds. Marvin is a little like old school. I mean, looks like your creepy uncle a little bit.
Sure.
But he's very used to the city. He's known as like a city guy. And so that's what made him go to Granby because it was up. He loved the vast mountains, the escapes, all that stuff.
If you lose a bunch in the city, the mountains are nice because you can go out and just relax and kind of take it easy. And when he went out there, I mean, his idea was he was going to buy a piece of land and he was going to put a building on it and then lease it out to a mechanic of sorts. So he wasn't really going to be the mechanic. Originally, that was the idea. He went to auction. He purchased a piece of land, 2 acres, for $42,000 from a family whose son was not happy that thing was on auction and tried to bid for it as well and lost it. So they had words after that. And then the sort of... what would you call it? The rivalry between the two families. I don't know if Heemeyer really had a family, but between him and a guy named Cody Dochev, it all heated up from there. All right, so we've learned about him. Let's find out what people thought of him in Granby.
He had a great reputation in the town. I mean, he was an outdoorsman. I didn't ever meet anybody who disliked him.
Marv had a knack for welding, working on engines and motors.
He was confident and I thought he was handsome and he was larger than life. But I didn't get that feeling that he was so angry. No one realized how distorted it was becoming to him.
Yeah, you got to let that out.
So no one realized how much this was eating him up inside. He hid it very well.
Here's the thing, my guess. Okay, first of all, the fact that nobody says a bad word about him tells me that he's probably a sweet guy. He was probably a guy who had some bad luck. He was probably a guy that made some bad decisions, and he finds himself in this place, and he's trying to restart his life, and he's trying to buy this piece of land, and he wants to get back into business, and he's going to do it right this time. But now, for some reason, there's a family out there who sort of have something against him.
Just because he's an outsider.
Because he's
from the town.
That, and he also was a big proponent of gambling.
Yeah.
He wanted to bring in gambling into the city, and the more conservative aspect of the city, they were like, "No, we don't do gambling," and now nobody cares. But back then, they cared, right?
I am making this tape for the task that I am about to undertake. It's a kind of a community that in order for you to get ahead, you have to keep the neighbor down. Enough is enough. I'm not going to take it anymore.
Boy, he is mad. And I got to be honest, I understand, okay? I kind of get it. You know, there's life's hard, first of all. Second of all, if you find that the government is sort of trying to block you, because my guess is, and we don't necessarily have evidence of this, or I haven't really read it, but if there's a family that's in a small town in an area for a long time, and they're really rich, they probably have their hands in with the judges and in with the sheriff. You know, it's like those movies where it's like, let me call the sheriff. Yeah, you go ahead and call the sheriff, buddy. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, I've worked for a small town just like that, and it is very, very just like that.
You want to say the name of the town? No. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's probably smart. So here's the deal. I guess his final straw was this. So, right, he purchased that land, like we said, 2 acres from Cody Dochev. Well, his family anyway. And then he tried to put a business on it, but it had sewage problems. He didn't check, I guess, beforehand and didn't find out that it's going to now cost him $84,000 just to fix the sewage. So it's twice as much as what he paid for it.
Which is weird to me because someone who's about to buy land and someone like him who's done business in the past, if I'm going to buy land, that's the first thing I'm going to think of is where's my power? Where's my water? Where's my sewer? Like,
listen, I'm for Heemeyer, right?
Yeah.
I like the guy. I think he's sort of a folk hero and everybody kind of wants to say, yeah, get him. Don't let the man get you down. But the more I kind of go through the story, I think he's kind of an idiot a little bit.
Oh, really?
I don't mean to be rude about it, but that's a dumb thing to not do, is not check if there's what the sewage situation is. So anyway, he basically was coming up against a wall about making a business there. So he decided, well, I'll just build my own thing and I'll just do it myself. I'll do mufflers. I'll be a mechanic out of here. So a few years later, the Dochev family wanted to buy land for a concrete plant. Right. So they went to him and they were like, hey, we know you bought this land a little while ago. We'd love to give you some money for it. And he was like, obviously still pissed. And he was like, I want $250,000. Remember, like a couple years earlier, this guy bought it for $42,000. He's like, I want $250,000. And they were like, okay. And you know what he did?
What?
He said, actually, I take that back.
Oh, boy.
He said, I want $450,000. And you know what they did? They offered him $350,000. They gave him another $100,000.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty fair of them.
The more I get into this, like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
You had your whole payday.
I don't understand what
I think he just had a grudge. He seems like the kind of guy who's just holding the grudge. Well, actually, I take that back. They offered him $350,000. Instead of taking it, you know what he said?
What?
I want $1 million. And they were like, dude, go screw.
Yeah, you're like, what are you doing?
They're like, get out of here. And by then, now he's sort of an enemy of the state a little bit with regards to these people and like the government. He's just a pain in the ass, right? And he even goes so far as to sue to try to stop this concrete plant from being built.
Which is the first time, I feel so bad for him because it's the first time he decides to take legal action out of being screwed all 10 years. The one time he decides to take legal action.
Well, and he got the people behind him at first. Town was behind him. He was saying like, it's environmental stuff. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be loud. It's going to ruin your life or whatever. You know, people try to go in and just ruin things for other people. It's got all these problems. And then they just addressed it and said, no, we're going to put up, certain noise restraints. We'll make it right. And people sort of died off. And he ended up, at that point, you're just throwing money into the wind for that kind of lawsuit. So he went back and was running his, muffler shop.
Yeah.
But remember, it had sewage problems. That's the reason he couldn't rent out a business on there in the first place. So he was, you know what he was doing with the sewage?
What was he doing?
He was just pumping his crap into an irrigation ditch that was close.
Oh.
Yeah. And he even cut into a sewer connection from the neighbor and tried to illegally connect to it.
Okay, that's pretty illegal. Like, I feel bad for the guy, but I'm like, okay, at that point, what are we doing?
I'd like to remind you that this guy could have sold this business already for $350,000 and been in Hawaii on a beach. So he got fined a whole bunch of money. He ordered to fix the connections, remove the sewage barrel, all the things he was doing down there, and he agreed, and then seemed to get upset and said, quote, I wish I could bulldozer this whole place to the ground.
Whoa. Okay. So he already said it, and people heard him say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everybody was like, nah, he's fine.
Well, then basically that was the point where he went underground and he started quietly building a KILLDOZER. And Chelsea, What was this thing? Because I know it was a normal bulldozer, and then he added a bunch of stuff to it. Am I right?
He made this bulldozer pretty hefty, pretty bulletproof. So Hemeyer, I think that's how you say it. I hate his last name.
What's his first name? I can never even remember his first name. Marvin. I think I just hate the name Marvin.
Just think of a creepy uncle.
Hemeyer. Go Hemeyer. Marvin Hemeyer. Uncle Marvin. Stay away from Uncle Marvin. He's coming over again.
This guy was already mechanically inclined. He had a natural talent for it. So when he was building this thing, he used an electric hoist to do the heavy lifting, of course. But the expert welded a fashion steel plate armor around...
Nice.
Yeah, around the whole thing. And then he filled in the gaps with concrete. So this thing was pretty, 49 tons.
Yeah, I was going to say, how's it even staying up? The tires on this thing must have been crazy.
It's on tracks.
Oh, it is? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, duh. Okay, duh. I'm playing it back in my head now. I was like, how's that even work?
How is that? Yeah.
Of course, because he's just rolling over cars, rolling over emergency vehicles. I mean, it's crazy.
But get this, he also installed video cameras in the bulldozer on the inside and the exterior, but also when he mounted the cameras, he also enclosed it with shatterproof resistant plastic.
Smart. So he doesn't lose his eyes.
Yeah, and get this, also a system that used jets of air to blow dust and debris away from the lenses. So he wanted to document this.
Listen.
And he also installed video cameras inside the bulldozer. He also had monitors inside of the bulldozer, 3 monitors that showed him what the cameras were looking at, so he knew even if he couldn't see through the windows and everything, he still knew where he was around. Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm looking at the camera. There's more people in America like this than you think. So just throwing that out there. I mean, I know some people in my own life who have bomb shelters and like living quarters that are hidden underground, like with an entrance in their forest. Like, these are very wealthy people, but
I was going to say, if we had the money, I would be that crazy.
Yeah. So speaking of crazy, once he thought, okay, I'm losing everything. It's over. I've lost the lawsuit. I'm pissed. He started making tapes, started recording himself. And only crazy people would record themselves into microphones.
Right.
But
I got you.
Okay. All right.
I got it. Yeah.
All right. He started recording himself. So we have some of his thoughts. Like, we could just say, hey, Richard, are you there?
It is not my fault. What that one guy say? Those who made me your enemies, or enemy, those who made me your enemy, they are the guilty ones. The Thompsons are guilty. The Dochefs are guilty. The Granby Town Board is guilty. The Granby Planning Commission is guilty. My neighbors are guilty.
This dude went after, you could tell by the buildings that he hit, right? They were all like city buildings.
He hit a lot of buildings.
Plowed him, ex-mayor of the town's house. The guy had been dead for a while. His widow lived there. Like, he just put her out on the street. Like, all right, I'm just going to mow her house down. He was pissed.
As bad as this guy seems, I respect the fact that he didn't want to take any human life. Like, he just wanted to wreck the buildings, you know.
It seemed that way, didn't it?
Yeah, it really doesn't seem to me that he was looking to kill anyone. I think he just really wanted to make a statement.
Listen, I don't doubt, though, that if the one town council guy that he hated so much walked out in the street when he was in the KILLDOZER, he would have just ran that guy down.
Yeah.
But who knows? And the other thing that was crazy is he attached a bunch of guns to 3 guns to the KILLDOZER, one of them a 50 cal, and was seen by a sheriff who was up on a bridge. He could see him shooting down towards a bunch of propane tanks, trying to make them explode.
It took all of you 10 years to get me. And you got me, no doubt about it. I got screwed big time. We talked today about it to Dave Patner. He knows I got fucked.
Oh.
And he knows that they do it.
Careful.
And they get away with it. There's nothing you can do about it, he says. Well, I'm going to do something about it.
All right, so let's get the rundown here of how it went down. He started at a playground. Well, no, he blasted out of his pole barn he had that was building this thing in. Like, you know how you could just essentially, like, if you got a tank, you could just run it through the side of a pole barn.
Right.
I like to imagine it with, like, explosions behind him and stuff, like a Bruce Willis movie where he's like, comes out of there. By the way, they made a movie about this. Not sure if we mentioned that.
As someone who's previously ran equipment before, being in a bulldozer, you could totally run into any building.
Yeah, I'm glad one of us has handled heavy equipment before. He came out. There was a playground. He destroyed that. He drove over the top of 3 town vehicles, several trees, dismantled the town hall and the library. And I don't understand why he's got to go for the library, but whatever. I think his goal was that he thought the town had screwed him, so any town building was
Yeah, I was going to say town building, yeah.
in his sights. And then he headed back across town, damaging a bank where a former town board member worked. He took out a few of the town's aspen trees. And again, what's with the trees do to you? Come on, Heemeyer. Leave the trees alone. I'm not even a tree hugger, but I do like trees. Then he went to the town newspaper, where he took his time destroying Sky High News in Granby. He hammered it until it collapsed, which was, I guess, punishment for editorially opposing him and the concrete plant and other issues that he was talking about. They're basically kind of making fun of him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he destroyed 13 buildings.
Yeah, good. I mean, like, listen, I don't think this is a good thing. Let me say that.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody should go and destroy buildings and stuff. But, I mean, listen, if we're talking about the count of this, if we're talking about kill count, so to speak, 13 buildings.
That's a good number of buildings. And not only that, but he had 107 people on his list that worked for the town. 107 people on his list that he had, that wronged him.
I don't like that. It reminds me of, wasn't there an Adam Sandler movie where somebody's like, Adam like calls him up and he's like, says he's sorry. And the guy like crosses his name off a list with lipstick and then like puts the lipstick on himself. I don't remember what movie it is. Some of those movies. Anyway. So basically he destroyed some houses, like you said, and then it sort of all came to a crashing halt. And by the way, the cops didn't get him.
I mean, what police or what legal police force had 49 tons worth of equipment then? Like,
right, and they didn't know he was coming.
Yeah.
Like they had no
idea.
Yeah, I mean, this guy pops up in the middle of any town, you're going to have an issue.
While striking a hardware store, the KILLDOZER turtled between the foundation and the basement, leaving the dozer stuck. And after 2 hours of pure carnage, a SWAT team approached the dozer and reported hearing the sound of a single gunshot from within, as Marvin Heemeyer, with no way out and no means to free the dozer, took his life.
It's wild.
do you think he planned to take his life after all this, or do you think he was planning to still stay alive? Like, what made him want...
This guy was committed.
Was it a last-minute decision? I want to know.
Right? I don't think he was wobbling in that thing. I think he was, like, committed to this. How long had he been building this thing? You know, he's like, all right, well, this is it. I mean, I'm not going to come out of this and be the laughing stock of the town, the guy who did lose his temper, freak out, mow the town down, and go to prison for the rest of my life. I'm going to damage everything I can, and I'm going to go out with a bang, and that's what he did. Unfortunately, I mean, you never want to see anybody die, but it's kind of legendary. Just a little bit. It's kind of legendary.
It is a little legendary. It's a great story, and I mean, he didn't have a family. He probably thought he was at the end of his life.
Yeah.
At the end of his rope.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
For
like,
sure.
whatever. Yeah.
And more people, I think, could probably relate to that than you understand. And here's the deal. I'm going to tell you one thing today, and I don't mean to get all hokey in this, but I do want to say this. I'll say it right into the camera. If you're building a bulldozer into a tank, just don't. Just don't. Take your bike out and into the mountains, of course, and just go for a ride or listen to some music or something. It'll be better. But all right, let's go. It's time for the Cool Colorado contest. Here we go.
Are you native enough?
Justin.
Yo,
Hey, what's up, buddy? Nice to meet you, man.
nice to meet you. I've been following you for about a year and a half, man. I love your content.
Awesome. Thanks. This is Chelsea. She's sitting right across from me here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Chelsea!
Hi.
Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, because as you know, the contest is Are You Native Enough? It's just a little play on the fact that everybody has this weird pride about either being from Colorado or not from Colorado or whatever. Answer 3 out of 5
Right, and-
questions correctly, and you can either get your native sticker or have it taken away. Now, are you a native or are you a transplant?
I am a transplant.
Ah, me too. Yes, I'm starting to wonder if there's more of us at this point. Tell us about yourself, man. Where are you from?
Born and raised Santa Cruz, California. Then moved down to LA for college. Was working for a little company called Funcoland. Got bought out by GameStop. And I was transferred from LA to Fountain, Colorado. I've now been out here for 20 years. Put in a lot of time with GameStop, Game Crazy. And then I moved up to Woodland Park and I was store manager at Verizon. And then during COVID, I was sick of all the corporate stuff.
I hear you.
And I decided to open a food truck.
That's awesome. Now tell us about your food truck. What's the name of it?
Grilled cheese.
And what is your specialty? I mean, I that's the dumbest question I could ask right there, right? But like what? So you say grilled cheese. Is it different kinds of grilled cheese? Is it what do you do?
So I have 27 different types of grilled cheese.
Wow.
Yummy.
Oh, we got to find this food truck.
So my number one seller is the Tin Cup. Now, all my sandwiches are named after off-road trails here in Colorado because I am a Jeep person.
I love this guy.
Doing it right.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome, man. Now, what is the Tin Cup? What is that sandwich?
So I have all my bread specially made. So it's unique. No one else has it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has guacamole, sauteed peppers with bacon and white cheddar.
Wow. That sounds amazing. All right. Chelsi,
It is number one seller.
are we ready here for him to step up to onto the stage here and find out if he can consider himself officially a native? Do you have question number 1 ready?
We sure are.
All right, here we go.
What?
I'm going to screw this up.
You'll do great. What western Colorado town is famous for its peaches?
Palisade.
Yeah, there we go. 1 for 1. Look at this.
You know how I know that? I actually have a grilled cheese called Peach Valley. I only do it 2 months in the year because I only use Palisade peaches, brie, mint, and honey.
Oh, yummy.
That sounds so good. This guy. And he might, his sandwich, menu may just give him all the answers here, too.
I was going to say, yeah.
All right, let's go with question number 2.
80% of Colorado's water comes from what source?
Repeat the question, please.
80% of Colorado's water comes from what source?
Reservoirs? Or do you need something more
Bigger.
specific?
Yeah,
Think bigger.
Where's it first start?
I have no idea. I'm just going to shoot in the dark. Colorado River?
No, snowpack. Snowpack.
Ah.
Which is just a silly, of course. All right. You got 1 for 2. 50% right here. Go ahead, Chels.
What is the state animal?
It's not a big circle that says C. I know it's not a bear. That's California. What is the state animal? I mean, I don't know what it is, so I'm just going to say my favorite endangered animal is the black-footed ferret.
That would be amazing.
That is us.
No, the bighorn sheep.
Of course it is. God damn, it's on the flag.
I was wondering.
I was going to say, once we say it, you'll know.
Almost gave you a hint, and I was like, nah, that's right. All right, go ahead. So he's got 1 for 3 here. 2 more chances, though.
2 more.
Yeah, you got to go on a streak here for the last 2.
What is the state insect? Let me repeat that. What is the state insect?
Oh, that's a tough one.
We have our own insect, like it's individual to us, or it's just something that we claimed ours?
Basically, like the same, like what's the state bird, what's the state flower, like what's the state insect? I don't even know this.
Jesus, man.
Yeah,
I thought you had to do with grilled cheese. Like, what am I supposed to say? Cockroaches because I have a food truck?
I was gonna say,
I'm gonna.
You don't have a insect sandwich over there? You're doing some sort of
Negative. I don't do that stuff, and I keep my truck very clean. We'll do shut in the dark. Jeez. Man, I wish this was a Santa Cruz question. It was a monarch, but right. So screw it. I'll just say the butterfly.
Hey!
You're right.
Oh wait, what? He is? Wait a minute. Hold on.
right.
Okay, hold on. Let me hit the applause button, not the womp womp.
Woohoo!
It's a butterfly. It's hair streak butterfly is the type of butterfly it is. But it is a butterfly. So I would say that counts.
Oh, that counts. Who the hell knows a hair
Yeah,
streak?
yeah.
Come on. That's silly. All right. Okay. Well, we're to the end here. This is it. This is standard.
Last 2.
Question number 5. Do or die. Wait, last 2. Isn't this question number 5?
Question number 5. Johnny 5. He's still alive.
Question number 5.
Oh. After the construction of what sporting venue in 1955 did the lower part of downtown Denver experience a resurgence in development and economic boom?
I don't know what's called, the arena, the Broncos arena, but the Coors Arena.
Well, yeah. Is that the final answer?
Yes,
All right.
Coors Arena. Yeah!
I mean, technically, it's funny because Broncos, where the Broncos play is Empower Field. It's not the same as Coors.
Right.
So I thought when you said where the Broncos play, I thought, oh, he's not going to get it. And then you said Coors Arena, which is actually Coors Field, but we will take it, won't we, Chelsea?
Woohoo!
Great job, my man. Tell people how they
So am I native?
Yes, you are. Yeah, officially. This guy. Oh, was
Fucking California.
You're in. You made it, my friend. You're a native. Keep making the great grilled cheese, and tell people where they can find you online, or how can people find out where your food truck's going to be?
So I post my schedule every Monday on my Facebook, which is Grilled Cheese Food Truck or Grilled Cheese LLC. You'll know by the corgi on the logo.
Awesome.
And then, dude, you guys have to come down. I also work for Comic-Con every single year. I've done it for the last 10 years for the Springs.
Oh, cool.
So I've fed plenty of celebrities, and yeah, I would love to feed you guys for free and get you some yummy sandwiches.
We would love to eat
Count
them.
us in.
Big fans of food, big fans of yours. We appreciate you coming on the show, my friend, and you have yourself a great day.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. You guys rock.
Peace out, buddy.
You rock. Bye, Justin.
Justin right there, ladies and gentlemen. Again, you can find him at, what was it, the food truck?
At grilled cheese.
You're real anxious to get out of here, aren't you?
I thought we were done. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying bye.
Yeah.
Saying bye. So I was like, hey.
That's right. So just search Grilled Cheese Dude. Look for the corgi in the logo. And if you're on the social medias and you're searching around, search us. Give us a follow. We're on all social media platforms. The podcast can be heard on all major podcast platforms, including video on YouTube. Find us, follow us, and we'll see you next time.